Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of Fourth and Forever presented by Roundtable Sports, your go-to daily NFL news show, Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. EST. Holy hell, that was trippy. I heard my voice in the background with the replay. But guys, listen, we have a great show for you today. A bunch of other trending topics around the league, some last-minute signings, grades for a couple of teams that have participated in this free agency frenzy, and more. Please do us a favor, smash that like button and subscribe and turn on bell notifications for us. Let's get into it. Colby filling in for Richie today. How you doing, man? Talk to us.
I'm great, man. Y'all got me up, making sure that your boy is up early, ready to start my day, being productive. I mean, are you kidding me? Fourth and Forever ain't no better place. You know what? I'm literally like the official fill-in here for Roundtable Sports, and I'm okay with it.
So you are the utility player
I'm
on
the utility guy.
Sports. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
You're that guy that can play slot corner on the perimeter, can play safety a little bit if we need him to. He's around. Shout out to Colby, guys. Spam W's in the chat for Colby. TD, how you doing, man? Talk to us.
I'm good, man. Another beautiful day. Free agency week is still going down. Shout out to Smitty in the chat. We see you, homie. All of the mods, we love y'all, and all the members, we love you too. If you want to become a member of Fourth and Forever and Roundtable Sports, hit that join button right now. We have more member spots available, so come through, become a member. It shows your love and support for the network, and you get all the little cool perks. I know you see the emojis in the chat.
And that's exactly what I'm talking about. And look what Richie just sent me in the mail. You see this?
Yeah, I was just gonna get on you about that, Dan. Dan got a Fourth and Forever mug before me. Richie, okay.
A Fourth and Forever coffee mug, man. Listen, I think our mug game has been stepped up. Like, we have a Roundtable Sports logo mug, we have a Fourth and Forever coffee mug, and a Wake Up and Ball coffee mug. Yeah. But this one's just absolutely clean. I'm on my second cup of black coffee this morning. Wow. I see. Oh, yeah, man. Normally,
let's go.
Yeah, dude. I mean, normally I slam about that. Like right now, I'm trying to get to 5,000 calories a day. I'm on a bulk.
I thought you were on a cut.
Well, not anymore.
Oh, okay.
For 3 or 4 months, I was on carnivore.
Cut, but that's all right. You know,
for 3 and 4 months, I was on carnivore. Yeah, so 3 and 4 months was on carnivore, and then I kind of noticed that I was losing strength, and I don't want that. So now I'm on a bulk, baby.
Dan's me. Dan's me every time I cut. I start feeling like I'm losing too much weight, and I get scared, so I start eating everything in my path.
Yeah. It's still a lean bulk, right? Like, it's still low carb. It's just a lot of like eggs and chicken and steak and like eating way too much. But damn, guys, listen, we have a great show for you today. And I kind of wanted to start off with a topic because I feel like a lot of us watching this episode may have forgotten that Trey Hendrickson is on the trade block. Why? Because he is still stuck on the Cincinnati Bengals roster as it stands right now. In fact, Diana Rossini just came out about 4 or 5 hours ago and said that an anonymous GM has said that the Bengals are asking for a quote-unquote ridiculous price tag for this edge rusher. Now, in my opinion, guys, I think with Cincinnati going into this offseason, what their plan was just to see what Myles Garrett would have been traded for. But as we know, of course, Myles Garrett ended up staying with the Cleveland Browns in a record-breaking contract. And now their hands are kind of tied because I don't think they understand what to ask for. My guess is that Cincinnati is looking for, I'd say, 2 first-round picks, maybe a second this year. Dare I say 3 first-round picks? Who knows at this point? But I kind of wanted to go around the table and ask you guys, all right, what do you think is a fair price and draft compensation for an edge rusher that has gone 2 back-to-back years with 17.5 sacks? I'm going to go over to TD on this one first.
Yeah, you got to put things into perspective. It's less than what a quarterback's going to get. You know, if you get a premier quarterback, that's 3 first-round picks. If Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen came available, the starting price is 3 first-round picks. Okay? And then you look at the draft. What is it to move from 10-1 or 15-1 in the draft? You start out with 3 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks. That's what history tells us. So a pass rusher, you're not a quarterback. So this is insane. Now, what's fair, and it's still a lot to me, a first-round pick and a second because of the young talent that he is and the ridiculous numbers he put up. That's still a haul. That's ridiculous amount. A first and a second. And given your current situation in the market drying up, you may need to go ahead and take that first and fifth and call it a day.
Mm-hmm. See, asking me, like, I would feel comfortable doing a first and a third. So a first and a third, I think, would make a little bit of sense.
Too.
But really, when it's all said and done, we could very well see him being shipped over for a second, at this point, because is what it is, man. Like, I'm looking at Cincinnati, and they have all of this money, and I haven't really seen any momentum shifting pickups in free agency at all this year. They have re-signed a couple of guys, I get that, but they have been re-signing some defensive players that were on the team last year that accounted for that piss poor defense that they had in the first place. So a lot of questions surrounding this organization. Colby, thoughts on this Trey Hendrickson situation? How much would you think would be a favorable rate for the edge rusher?
Yeah, well, when we first heard that he was going to be traded, I had actually heard that a third round pick was realistically what teams were okay with giving up. So the fact that they're asking for a first round pick and more is just very unrealistic. Now, at the same time, we know that this is exactly what teams are going to do. They're going to ask high, and the teams that are willing to trade for him are going to say, hey, we're willing to buy him low. That's just how it works. And you meet somewhere in the middle. Same thing happened with DK Metcalf. They wanted a first and third round pick. What do they ultimately get? They got a second round pick. That's how these things work. Now, looking at Trey Hendrickson, he's 30 years old. You know, these edge rushers, they can play into their mid 30s at a high level. Looking at Hendrickson, he probably has maybe 4 years left in him, but he's at the point in his career where each and every single year you worry about statistically him falling off. They're not going to get a first round pick, especially looking at the fact that this is a very good edge class. This is expected to be the best edge class coming out of a draft that we have ever seen. So teams are going to say, we're not going to give up a first round pick because we could get a dominant guy who's going to be on a 4 or 5 year rookie deal that we don't have to go out and give a massive contract to on top of giving up draft compensation. I don't think they're getting a first round pick. I think that they will have to meet teams in the middle, and ultimately they're just going to get a second.
Now, second part of that tweet from Diana Rossini also brings up a lot of questions on my end. It sounds like all the teams that are interested have no problem paying him what he is looking for. So let's put our investigator hat on and ask, who are these teams that are in this conversation right now? Who do you think is willing to pay this contract? And who are the teams that are truly in the running right now? Colby.
I mean, I would definitely put the Patriots out there. I don't think you want to get stingy. Now, they do have Harold Landry. Harold Landry was signed to a 3-year deal, but he's somebody who's more of a run stopper than he is a true pass rusher. The Patriots don't have that number one guy. Now, this is, again, a very good edge class. Maybe that's where the Patriots go out and get that guy. But if they want a veteran, they want to immediately be good, and they want a guy who's immediately going to be proven as one of, if not the best, well, maybe not the best edge rusher, but one of the best edge rushers in the league, they can go out and trade for him. The Patriots have better draft compensation than the majority of teams. The Patriots still have what's projected to be about $80 million left in cap space, despite all the moves that they've made. I'd also take a look at, some of the true contenders, because I think they're the ones that are going to be a little bit more willing to give up draft compensation versus teams like the Patriots, versus teams like the Titans, who, yes, they might have good compensation. They might have the utilities to make this move, but they're not contenders. So they might be a little bit more hesitant to give up a lot of draft compensation. So maybe even a team like the Steelers, they go out. Well, actually, I guess they just traded for DK Metcalf. They might not have the utilities to do it, but I would look more so at, some of the contenders when it comes for Trey Hendrickson.
And
also,
chat,
NFC. NFC is what I would look at, too, because I'm sure they don't want to trade him into the AFC.
No, because if not, you would have to pay the interconference tax if that was the case. I feel like when you look at this, you have to look at all of the quote unquote landing spots for what would have been a Myles Garrett trade as well. I still think the Washington Commanders are probably all in on this.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they are all in on this. I also dare say that the Chicago Bears are also intrigued on this as well. I'm looking at both of these teams. They both have the capital this year, and their cap space looks good in the future. I could see Washington Commanders. I could see the Chicago Bears. And then now that the Chargers retained Khalil Mack, all right, he's coming back. They, of course, walked away from Joey Bosa. A Trey Hendrickson over in LA could be even more interesting at this point. TD, what teams do you think are in this anonymous contest for this 30-year-old edge rusher?
You got to look at the Patriots still. Kobe's spot on there. You brought some help in at the position, but you don't have that main guy, and you can never have enough pass rushers. Let's get that straight now. You know, you've learned in this league, it's not about having 2 guys. You got to have 4. You got to have a rotation of guy, because if you have 2, one of them go out, now you're just already at a decline. I would also potentially look at the Chargers. If they can get the right price. I know that they've already moved on from some of their key guys, but yeah, I will potentially look at the Chargers. You know, moving on from Bosa and stuff, this could be a nice upgrade, and a guy who's going to be on the field to make an impact. After that, the last one I guess I'll go with is the Arizona Cardinals. They did bring in Sweat, but again, you can never have enough. I mean, this position is one of importance. So it's just also a fact of who has the money to do it, because you're still going to have to pay them. But that's where I'll go with it. And let me add this. Let's not rule out him staying. I don't care that they're paying everybody else. Let's not rule out him staying. Okay?
Oh, my God.
Yeah, I mean, look at what happened look what happened with the Browns.
It's got – but – so the Bengals are in a more interesting situation because they have to pay Jamar Chase an extension, and they so allegedly still want to keep T. Higgins, right? And now Trey Hendrickson right in the equation. One would assume maybe they can get 2 back. More than likely, I think they're going to have to choose one, and I think the obvious choice would be Jamar Chase here. But keeping all 3 is very unlikely in my eyes. I think the Cleveland Browns situation was a bit different, because what else on that team were they as desperate to keep than Myles Garrett? Like nothing. Like that was their only priority, like their only saving grace. I feel like the Cincinnati Bengals have a bit more to lose and a lot more difficult decisions to make.
Yeah, I mean, they also can't keep Joe Burrow happy the whole time, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's not realistic. Joe Burrow saying you need to keep all of the good players on this roster. I understand why he's saying that. That's his job as a quarterback to speak up and make sure that the team overall, not just the offense, but the team overall is built to be able to go and contend. But I don't think what Joe Burrow is exactly understanding is that offense was very, very good this past season. I mean, that was a playoff caliber offense. That is a team, that is an offense that could have won playoff games and actually made a run. The reason why they didn't, obviously, when they started off slow, but the other reason that they didn't have a defense. This is a very good edge class. If you can trade Trey Hendrickson for a 2nd-round pick, get a guy on a rookie deal, that's what they should be doing. That is how you build a good team. You build a good team through the draft. And re-signing all of your good players to deals worth $20, $30+ million, you're only going to be having a couple of good players with essentially a bunch of mid guys behind them. That's not realistic. It's not realistic to pay Joe Burrow top dollar, to pay T. Higgins top dollar, Jamar Chase top dollar, Trey Hendrickson top dollar. You got to ask yourself, which guy do you want to trade? Do you want to trade T. Higgins, or do you want to trade Trey Hendrickson?
Now, you want to hear a take that will shake you to the bone?
Always.
All right, TD. So on Saturday, when I was doing the 2nd episode of the Dan Mitchell Show, I had our 49ers contributor Jesse on, and we were discussing the T. Higgins situation surrounding the Cincinnati Bengals. And Jesse believes that by the way that this front office is operating, that Joe Burrow will request a trade next offseason if they ultimately end up having a similar season to what they had this past year. Thoughts on that? Because when he said it, it completely blew my mind. And this was not coming from me. This was not coming from TD or other sources where like you guys are like, oh my God, like blah, blah, blah. But like, if you think about it, right? Like they are really putting themselves in a situation where they are tying a lot of their cash to just a couple of players, and they haven't been able to draft effectively in the past couple of years. I think at some point, if I'm Joe Burrow, I am looking at the landscape of things and I'm just like, dude, there is no way that I will ever be able to live up to my potential with an unserious organization like this. I have to get the hell out of here. TD, thoughts on Jesse's take?
It's crazy to think about, but it's not far-fetched.
No.
Also, he's going to need more money because He's only, I'm sorry, 9 million, which is nothing for quarterbacks. So it looks like he's already going to be potentially looking to redo his deal coming up soon. But here's what I'll say. If Joe Burrow becomes available in a trade, man, my eyes are going to get so wide, especially here. I don't care what y'all can laugh all you want. He will be a Miami Dolphin if that happened.
What about
He
Tua?
will be a Miami
He
Dolphin.
would be a Miami Dolphin. They might trade. They might just swap it. They might
He'll
swap
be
it
in a
and maybe
rebuild
give a
by
little
then,
extra.
TD.
That's why he would be a Dolphin.
You think he wants to go to a situation where it's year one of a rebuild? That's crazy.
See, Joe Burrow, no, we offered the farm to go get him to begin with.
Yeah, at that point, he'll just stay with the Cincinnati Bengals.
No. He'll be better off in Miami. He'll be better off in Miami. Okay.
Why? Because he's getting more vitamin D.
At least we'll have and we'll have a better defense, and we'll spend the money. We ain't gonna spare no expense. But let me say this: he gonna be a better for the next 10 years. I get it. That's intriguing, but I don't want to hear that. But let me say this: I got to debunk this myth. There's this big myth hanging around the Bengals that they can't afford to pay Chase, Higgins, and Hendrickson. Yes, they can. They actually have the money. They literally, even right now as we speak, they got $30-something million, and next year they got $167 million. They have the money. They can actually afford every one of them and still build a team out. They could still do and if they did T. Higgins a contract, they'll save even more money right now. If they did Chase a contract, they would save money right now. Like, even right now, what we're not talking about is the fact that T. Higgins is a $26 million cap hit. If they gave him a new deal right now, they would convert that and it would only be like $3-4 million. They would save 20 instantly. Jamar Chase is making $22 million this year. If they just give him his new deal, they could work his to where it's only $1 or $2 million right now. So this Trey Hendrickson situation, in which Hendrickson is at $19 million, reworking him a deal would save them money right now. Like, if they wanted to, they could have $80 million in cap space right now just by signing them all.
But you know why they won't do it?
That's not even to mention Joe Burrow if you give him a restructure or extension in which you haven't. So why they won't do it gives Jesse a little bit of credit here, because maybe they're on the clock for a 1-year situation. If you don't get it done, we're going to blow this thing up and we'll have all our cash. So
half of the reason why I believe that he won't do that is just because of the owner, Mike Brown. He is historically known to be cheap, and he avoids guaranteed money at all costs. Now, he is one of the poorest owners in the NFL as far as the list is concerned, and that's why you always hear, like, for example, so with Bates, so their lockdown safety that's now currently on the Atlanta Falcons, he ended up taking the Atlanta deal because they offered him an absurd amount more in guarantees, where Mike Brown, that owner, was not willing to commit. And there's so many different stories of this happening within Cincinnati. But Colby, and do you see a world where Joe Burrow could potentially ask for a trade next year based off of the front office's behavior?
He could ask for a trade, and I'm not saying that it's unrealistic that he asks for a trade or that he puts his displeasure with the organization out there, but he's not going to go anywhere. If the Cincinnati Bengals allow that to happen, they are a poverty franchise that deserves to be terrible again for the next 20 years. You do not let your franchise quarterback walk. I don't see it happening. They're going to do everything they can to make him happy, whether that's trade for a running back one, up his contract, do whatever in God's name they need to in order to make him happy. He's not going to go anywhere. How many times do we see the story, Dan? How many times do we see stories on this player's not happy? This player's asking for a trade. We thought Lamar Jackson a couple of years ago was going to be traded. They literally allowed Lamar Jackson to go out and find suitors, and then we ended up hearing a few weeks later that he gets this massive contract extension, making him the highest paid quarterback in the NFL. Might hear rumors. He's not going anywhere.
Not going anywhere. Well, you know what? Like, we were just speaking about our good friend, 49er representative Jesse's take. And we might as well speak a little bit on his team. Because let me tell you what, like, when I've been like perusing the internet for draft grades, free agency grades, excuse me, I have always seen the 49ers as losers of this period. They have said goodbye to a lot of their players. Depending, of course, on what 49ers fan you would ask, it's them shedding away bad contracts from aging players. However, they have seen quite a few departures. They did end up just bringing in Mac Jones as a backup quarterback right over to Brock Purdy.
Actually, like
Look at that. Watch on out. But I have to ask, with the current dynamic in the NFC West, are the 49ers even going to be competitive next year? Are they going to even sniff a long playoff run, or is this a setback year for the organization? I'm going to move on over to Colby on this one to begin.
Yeah, I think the 49ers are going to be better than they were last year, but I'm not expecting the 49ers to be one of the biggest threats in the NFC. I think you look at teams like the Eagles. The Eagles obviously won the Super Bowl. They lost a lot of pieces, but they're still going to be dominant. They're still one of the favorites, if not the favorites, to win the upcoming Super Bowl. Then you have the Commanders, who were very, very good this past season. In year one, they're only getting better. So, well, again, I don't expect the 49ers to go out there and be what we've seen in recent years. Not even saying they're going to be a playoff team. I think they'll be, at worst, a mid-team. I don't think they're going to be a 4, a 5, a 6-win team. I think at minimum they're going to be an 8-win team, but they also understand the situation they're in. They're not expecting to be competitive. From everything that I've heard, the owner is done giving out massive contracts. The owner of the 49ers is done going out there, making these big moves because he has not seen a championship. Yes, they have seen NFC championship games year after year after year. They've been to multiple Super Bowls, but they have not won one, and that is the problem. They're at a position right now where they're resetting. The owner is looking to put money in things that aren't even involved with football at this point to kind of reset and kind of build his financial income other ways outside of football, because clearly he's not getting the return on investment through football that he's been putting out there. Even rumors that maybe they can go out and trade somebody like Christian McCaffrey. And honestly, I think they should do so. They are shedding bad contracts. They're getting rid of some of their best players. And over the next couple of years, we're going to see them in kind of this cap and draft purgatory where now they have to turn over this roster. These moves bite teams in the butt at some point. You can maneuver the cap as much as you want. You can maneuver your draft picks as much as you want. At some point, Father Time is going to catch up to you, and you're going to have a year, 2, maybe even 3 years where you're bad. You bite the bullet on having a bad season to let your franchise kind of reset. The 49ers have been good for so long, really dating back to what? 2018? This is their time to reset.
Intriguing. What do you got on this, Tony? Will they be competitive in the slightest in 2025?
Nope, they're gonna be pretty bad. Purdy ain't gonna have no help. I think they still gonna trade Ayuk. Listen, the 49ers in trouble, man.
Just burn it down, is what he's suggesting. Burn
that's
it.
What they already that's what they already doing. I think Kobe's on to something. Some of these owners, they're like, I'm not giving guaranteed money anymore. People don't understand when you sign a big time player and that guaranteed money and that signing bonus that comes out of the owner's pocket. That's money that comes out of the owner's pocket. Of course, with the salary cap, it kind of gets it back, but that's upfront money. Bam, the owner's cutting the check.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why you're on to something even about Cincinnati. I didn't know that their owner was like cheap like that. Don't want to give the guaranteed money like that.
He is.
But yeah, that's a problem. So Joe Burrow, he could want out of that situation because he'll never, if you can't cut the check, if you don't have deep pockets to be able to bring guys in. But let me say this. People need to stop saying the salary cap not real. Like, this is a false notion. Yeah, you can manipulate it and keep carrying it down the road. But what I keep trying to explain to people, you can manipulate it all you want, but you're impacting your future.
It's going to screw you eventually, right? It's
going
to screw you eventually.
The credit card bill comes due. I don't care if you add void years. That's $5, $10, $15 million in voids that you would have had available that 3 years from now on your cap that you don't have. It is real. If it wasn't real, why wouldn't the Bills go get Trey Hendrickson, T. Higgins right now?
I know.
Can they afford to do that then?
No, absolutely not.
Like, why you think the Dolphins out here bargain shopping? I mean, our owner got money. He making plenty of money. This isn't baseball. So it is beyond real. You just got to understand how the cap works. Just because teams manipulate it to push it down the road, you don't pay attention to the impact it's having down the road. You just say, oh, we got 26 million in cap space this year. Yeah, but the last 3 years, you made decisions that took you away from having 80. And now you got 60 in dead cap. Nobody goes and counts a team's dead cap money. It's ridiculous. Go look at some of these teams' dead cap. That is money, if you would have managed it properly, you should have had available, but you don't anymore. So, yeah, man, the cap is definitely real. And 49ers, they're screwed. I think they win about 7 or 8 games, and they just get in that purgatory state like they were last year.
In the purgatory state that they are in.
You don't forget they got Purdy, man. They got Purdy. They really in trouble. They done took Purdy a weapon away from Purdy. Purdy need all his weapons.
They got Mac Jones now, TV. Come on. They got Mac Jones now. That's the guy that they originally wanted. I know Jesse's here. Right, Jesse? You know they wanted Mac Jones. They wanted Mac Jones back in 2021. Now you got your guy on a low end.
49ers will win 9 or 10 games. Watch 2026. They will be back. That's Jesse himself that's coming into it. But guys, listen, I gotta ask the chat on this. I have to ask the chat on this, okay? Zion Williamson lower than 23.5 points tonight. I just have a feeling he's gonna have a stinker this evening, okay? Luka Doncic, I have him higher than 32 points this evening.
Is LeBron still hurt?
I'm not sure on that. I was just kind of throwing up a prayer. I just have to have and see if the chat's in on this. And then for the golfers out there as well, I had Scotty Scheffler going higher than 69 strokes. He's currently at 11. So we're going to need this man to absolutely start having a terrible day of golf. And let me tell you what, I'm putting all of this right now on Underdog, folks. Underdog Fantasy, it is the #1 fantasy app on the market today. And guess what, guys? If you want to get in on the action, and if you want to tail me or fade me or actually make a little competition yourself, highly recommend you take advantage of it. Because look at this. They have a Luka Doncic special right now where you can include him on your overall game plan. And as long as he just goes over half a point this evening, which I think that he certainly will, I think he certainly will, then you could potentially win big. All right. Potentially, of course. Now, with Underdog, when you sign up with that link at the top of the chat, guys, use code RTS and you can receive all the way up to $1,000 in bonus credit plus a free pick exactly like this, risk-free for that first one. Reminder as well, guys, we are also offering a random jersey giveaway to anybody that is a subscriber to this YouTube channel, leaves a comment on this video of what jersey they want, and they ultimately end up signing up for Underdog Fantasy with our code. So shout out to Underdog Fantasy for sponsoring today's episode. And I see Tony over there. He's building up his underdog situation right now.
Yeah, I'm just trying to include that Luka one. That's a guarantee.
It's the Luka one, man. Listen, you already have to do it, man. Let's get in on it. Now, listen, since Richie is gone today, he is taking the day off. I had to channel my inner Richie, all right, and do an impromptu topic. Richie's impromptu topic, folks. It's still here. He's not here, but his impromptu topic is here. And it's something that's really been dominating my mind. There's always a dominant division in the NFL each and every single year. Last year, I think it was the NFC North that really ended up arriving, if you will. I think there's going to be a new division this year that rises up the ranks that's going to be wildly competitive. I have a gut feeling it's going to be the AFC West. I don't know why, but based off of free agency, I'm sitting here and I'm pulling up a lot of the free agency acquisitions that we saw. Number one, it's the Kansas City Chiefs. I think we all know that they are going to be competitive as long as, of course, we have Patrick Mahomes as the quarterback over there. I would say the Denver Broncos have been always top 5, top 10 when it comes into best free agencies so far in several rankings by itself. Adding an Evan Engram, bringing back their DJ Jones, Dre Greenlaw, Hufanga is added right over to their secondary. I think it's safe to say that Denver has the best defense in the NFL on paper right now. Las Vegas Raiders get a brand new head coach in Pete Carroll. They bring over Geno Smith. They sign Raheem Mostert, added more to their offensive line. Max Crosby with a massive extension. Solid secondary additions with Jeremy Chin. I think they're going to add a wide receiver as well to help out Geno Smith plus the draft. And then, of course, the LA Chargers, who have had several free agency moves themselves, plus the draft's right around the corner. What do you guys think? Is the AFC West going to be the NFC North of 2025? Colby, thoughts?
No. No, it's not.
No.
I mean, just point blank. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I don't like the moves that the Raiders are making. You bring in Pete Carroll. All right. That's not a bad move. I don't hate it. But is he going to be able to marry the old concepts mixed with the NFL concepts that are coming out of college, the younger, more modernized concepts? I still don't know. And it feels like he's just going back to the roots that he knows with, his days back to the Seattle Seahawks. Trading for Geno Smith, I'm not trying to hate here on Geno, but really, that's the move we're making at quarterback, the most important position. Could have gotten Shador, right? Could have tried to trade up for Cam Ward. Could have gotten your quarterback next year. What do? You give valuable assets, a third-round pick up for Geno Smith, and then you give him a big contract extension to make him your franchise quarterback. What are we doing? No, it's moves like that do not give me faith. The best division are the Norths, the AFC North, the NFC North. Mark my words, those are the best teams.
The AFC North and the NFC North. TD, and do you see the AFC West being a bit more competitive than you would anticipate this year?
We're talking about Denver, Chargers.
Denver, Chiefs, Chargers, Raiders. Yes. Oh, yeah. We need flashcards for TD in these divisions.
No, I want to make sure because Kobe said no.
Yes, it has not changed.
Kobe said no.
Changed.
They'll be more competitive, but they're not going to be the best division. You're telling me.
All right, listen.
No,
so I feel like the Broncos will come back
as the NFC North.
So they had
the Broncos will be just like Green Bay. The Chargers will be like Minnesota. The Chiefs will be like the Lions, and the Raiders are going to be just like Chicago was last year. Yeah, they're going to be just as competitive as the North was.
That's crazy. You're comparing them right now to the NFC North, easily the best division in football.
So hold on. Let me ask you a question.
Kobe, some of the best teams in the NFL.
Kobe, let me ask you a question. And all four wasn't playoff teams.
I said outside the Bears.
Yeah. So were the AFC West was all playoff teams except the Raiders.
I know, but two of them barely squeezed in.
No, what do you mean barely? The
Chargers and the Broncos barely squeezed in. It took the Broncos the final week to squeeze in.
Stop it.
They were both the Green Bay Packers at the end of the season. What do you mean? You're telling me that the Lions, the Vikings, the Packers, those were three of the best teams in the NFL this past season.
Oh, hold on. Let me get something straight here. Who you pick? Who y'all picking? The Chiefs or the Lions?
The Lions.
What, right now? In 2025?
Man, yes.
The Lions.
Oh, Kobe, you gotta stop this mess.
They have a better roster.
Oh, listen, it's the Chiefs, man. Stop, Kobe. You see, stop this mess. All right. Okay, it's the Lions to you, but let's not act like there's this big separation either way, right? Who you taking? The Minnesota Vikings or the Chargers after what they did last year?
The Minnesota Vikings.
We don't even know what the rookie quarterback's going to be this year.
There's rumors that he's getting traded. So if they get Aaron Rodgers, 100%, I'm going with the Vikings. Better defense, more proven coaching right now. The reason that they fell off is because in the playoffs was because of Sam Darnold, because of the quarterback. He's not there anymore. Also, what are the Chargers doing in the postseason?
The Chargers, what do you mean? The Chargers were a 12-win team without wide receivers. Now they bring back Mike Williams, and they're not done. Yeah, I understand that. But what did Minnesota do in the postseason?
The Chargers brought back Mike Williams. They're adding to the wide receiver core. Tony down, 2025.
You keep putting yourself in a corner. What did the Vikings do in the playoffs?
That's what I'm saying, but I just told you. That was my comparison. Because of Sam Darnold, they fell off. They get Aaron Rodgers, the same thing's not going to happen.
Denver Broncos are on the rise. They're about to be done with Russell Wilson's dead cap situation. And they're no different than Green Bay. They're no different, man. Listen, they're okay. I'm not saying one is better than the other, but they're going to be just like each other. They're going to be just like each other.
I see the comparisons, and that's where I'll give you a bone. I see the comparisons, but they are still a step or two behind. They are not in comparison, okay? They're not as good. You could take the Lions, the Vikings, the Packers. I would take them over any of the teams. I mean, look, I guess you can't really bet against Patrick Mahomes, but I mean, all of these rosters, Lions, Vikings, Packers, I'll take any of those overall rosters over the Chiefs anyway. You can't make the argument. The NFC North is the best division in football.
Yeah, I'm not knocking that. Dan just asked the question, will they be like them? So
last year, do remember, so we had 3 AFC West teams make the playoffs. Same thing with the NFC North. And now I'm comparing the basement dwellers with each other, right? So I have the Cleveland Browns, who dragged down the AFC North. I had the Chicago Bears. They obviously dragged down the NFC North last year, but I think that they are positioning themselves to be even more competitive. It all depends on the Raiders right now. So I think it's going to be NFC North again, but I think watch out for the damn AFC West. If, for example, that Las Vegas can put something together in the draft or still make some sort of I'd say respectable move in free agency with the players that are still left. I don't know, man. And on top of that one, right? Because I think there's no question that I think all 3 of us would really enjoy watching the Kansas City Chiefs begin their demise. I feel like everyone even watching this episode right now, of course, from King Jamie, who might be in the chat. What's up, Jamie? We love you, man. We really, really do. Is this the year where another team in the AFC West takes the crown for the division? Is this the year where Harbaugh figures it out? Where Sean Payton figures it out? I'm not going to say that Pete Carroll is going to do it year 1, but I've seen crazier things happen. Will this be the year where the Kansas City Chiefs do not win the AFC West? Colby.
I'm going to say no, right? You can't bet against Patrick Mahomes still. And look, hey, I was the one that bet against him in the Super Bowl, and I was right. But this is where I feel like you can't bet against him because, yes, they might not have been themselves over the last couple of years. Maybe they've been more on the decline, and that's for their measurables. People are going to be like, what do you mean they're not the same? They're still going to the Super Bowl. For their measurables, they have been on the decline. But I still think the rest of the teams in the West, they're still about a step or two behind. Maybe this is more of a 2026, 2027 conversation. But even if you look at the Chiefs this past season, as depleted as they were, as injury prone as they were, they lost 2 games all season. Now, you can say they played close games. They played close games against the best teams in the league, like the Ravens. They played close games against some of the worst teams in the league. Example, the Raiders. Example, the Panthers. Nonetheless, they still won all but 2 games, one of which, Dan, was against your Buffalo Bills. The other was the final week 18, against the in-division rival Denver Broncos, who their postseason was on the line in that game, and the Kansas City Chiefs rested their starters. So realistically, they only lost 1 game all season long, given their circumstances. You have Patrick Mahomes, you have Andy Reid, you still have Travis Kelce coming back for at least another year. So with that being said, no, I think it's going to be close, but I still think it's the Chiefs.
You still think it's the Chiefs? TD,
I hate it.
Is this the year? Is this the year where the Kansas City Chiefs are dethroned as their division champions? Talk to us.
Without a doubt, the Chargers are coming.
Yes.
The Chargers are, listen, the only
Harbaugh,
thing,
baby. It's Harbaugh time, baby.
Harbaugh turned that defense around. Harbaugh had an offense that had nothing on it, show some flashes. Now they bring back Mike Williams, and they'll go in the draft and probably get another receiver.
That's moving the needle for you?
No, but it helps. Another weapon for Herbert. That doesn't move the needle at all, but it helps. It was a big hole for them, but then they'll go in the draft, and I'm sure that they're going to use their draft pick on the best receiver available. I can see that happening, or still getting involved in this T. Higgins sweepstakes potentially. But the Chargers aren't going to go out like that. They're going to have more weapons for Justin Herbert. And yeah, they're going to dethrone the Chiefs this year. And the Broncos might even dethrone them. I'm just not going to give them that nod yet. The Chiefs, man, this is the start of their decline. That Super Bowl loss was hurtful for them. They looked disinterested. They look tired. They look old. They look rusted. And yeah, man, I think there's blood in the water, and the rest of the league you're gonna start circling the Chiefs like sharks.
Start circling the Chiefs like sharks, man. Well, I'll tell you what. All right. I think the door has closed for Russell Wilson over in Pittsburgh because Pittsburgh ended up bringing back a familiar face, Mason Rudolph. Mason Rudolph is back on the Pittsburgh Steelers, where he began his career, and then he ultimately ended up going over to the Tennessee Titans for a brief stint.
That's not going to be the start, though, right?
No, I do not believe so. But I think this move is kind of guiding us as into what will be announced, if I'm a gambling man, by either later this afternoon or perhaps even early tomorrow morning. Aaron Rodgers to the Pittsburgh Steelers. It is still obviously a speculation. From what I understand and based off of what I have read, it sounds like that there is an offer out to Aaron Rodgers to take the position. Did y'all see that picture of him walking on the beach with a little blankie over his head?
Actually, I didn't see that.
Oh my God. All right, listen.
We're gonna
who offered Aaron Rodgers?
The Steelers did. I'm going to show this to you real fast. And folks, apologies for what is about to happen. TD and Colby are about to be booted from this stream momentarily, but this is just too good for me not to share. Don't worry, they're coming back in 3 seconds. Look at that. There you are, boys.
Oh, wow, that's great.
But you're not Dan Mitchell. You're not Dan Mitchell, bro. Anyway.
You kidding me? You see my TikTok game?
This is what we saw right here. Aaron Rodgers.
Hey, yo.
Yeah, man. He looked like he was at the ending of a Lifetime romance movie.
Looks like the
looking
Dark
out
Knight.
into the horizon, barefoot, deciding his future. Aaron Rodgers, solemn Aaron Rodgers, caught strolling along a beach as he continues to ponder his NFL future, man. His NFL future. I think that we could all agree. I think that we could all. No, that's not correct. Come on, Richie. Where are you when we need you?
You need some help there, Dan? There you go.
That's it.
There you go,
man. Damn.
Listen, man. You know, we joke about this stuff all the time, but I hope Aaron Rodgers really has somebody in his corner that can help him out with his mental.
Yeah,
I think we forget he was just the quarterback for 2 years for the New York Jets. That could be traumatizing for anybody.
Oh yeah.
So he got a lot of rehabbing to do, man. The Jets, where quarterbacks go to die. He survived, man. He survived. So big ups to Rodgers.
He survived. Now, so do you see him succeeding in Pittsburgh if that's ultimately where he ends up going?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, for sure, right?
A Tomlin competition. Yeah.
They always have good teams. They always have good coaching staffs. They just traded for DK. They got Pickens. Like those are two wide receivers who are good in contested catch situations. They got some speed. They have a really good length and catch radiuses. So, Rodgers doesn't have to be pinpoint accurate if he goes there. I don't think that's where he's going. I think everybody's kind of pitting him in there. I'm expecting a 360. I'm expecting him to go to the Minnesota Vikings. Brett Favre is telling him that he wants him to go to the Vikings. I think he's going to take the exact Brett Favre route, as crazy as that sounds. Brett Favre obviously plays for the Green Bay Packers. Then he goes to the Jets for a stint. Then he finishes his career with the Minnesota Vikings. I think Rodgers about to do the exact same thing. And I think that that's exactly what Rodgers should do. Because if he wants to end his career on a high note, going to the Steelers is not the place to do so with a defensive-minded head coach. The place to do so is Minnesota with Jay Jettas, a loaded offense, and an offensive-minded head coach, a place that you can succeed. If Sam Darnold can go there and get himself a bag, then one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time can go there and revive himself.
Oh, well, look, I think that brings up a lot of other questions as well. What the hell are they doing with J.J. McCarthy?
My bad, Jake.
If that's the point. What are they doing with J.J. McCarthy if that is ultimately the next step in Aaron Rodgers' career? Shipping him off because there were some rumors. that they were considering trading him if they did elect to bring back Sam Darnold. Obviously, they did not. He's wearing a Seahawks uniform today. What would happen with J.J. McCarthy? He sits behind Aaron Rodgers for another 2 years. And Tony, what do you got?
Yeah, JJ ain't going nowhere. These are just rumors. They're invested in that kid for the future. He's the future quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings. And even more proof, Minnesota spent money as such. They didn't hold back. They've been spending buku dollars just to make sure they get a team around him and the O-line around him. I would actually like Aaron Rodgers in Minnesota, though, with those weapons, with that O-line, with that run game and that defense. They would really elevate. It's just that we don't know what we're going to get from JJ yet. And I feel like Kevin O'Connell and Brian Flores, like, they have time to build with JJ, but I feel like the team they've built already has a window to win now, and they need to go after it. And I would rather go with the veteran. Now, JJ can come out and light it up and shock us all, and they could still be one of the top teams. But until I see it, it's hard for me to just get on board and say, they're straight. I would prefer Aaron Rodgers in Minnesota.
See, you know what? I'm sort of struggling, like, seeing how that would benefit Minnesota in the slightest. And especially based off of their free agency acquisitions already. Like, they add Will Freeze and Ryan Kelly to the offensive line. So you would assume, like, right there, that is them positioning themselves to roll with J.J. McCarthy because they wanted to make sure that the offensive trenches were good for a rookie quarterback. They still have all of their weapons coming back. Have Aaron Jones. He was re-signed. He's ready to go. Added more pieces right to their defense. All J.J. McCarthy needs to be is slightly above average next year. And the Minnesota Vikings, in my opinion, are in the exact same position as they were in 2024, competing for the division title and, dare I say, even winning a playoff game or two. That's why it's kind of hard for me to buy in. Like, sure, I understand why it would be good for Aaron Rodgers, but why would it make sense for Minnesota? Because really all they need is JJ just to be serviceable.
But you don't know.
Yeah.
No, you don't need just serviceable though, Dan. Sam Darnold was serviceable. It wasn't gonna get him over the hump.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about winning. Do you see how much they've loaded up?
So he wants to ring now, is what you're saying. So
they need to win. You see all this money they're spending and all these players they're bringing in? They gotta win. They gotta win. So we're gonna take a wild card on JJ. Yeah, I believe they are, but that's still unknown. Rookie, young, you don't know. But you can still have both of them. Bring them in. Aaron Rodgers, let's see what you can do. Any moment of cracking on us, hey, we Michael Penix this thing. Let's go, JJ. To me, it's that simple. You got to, like, Aaron Rodgers, I'm telling you, man, I don't have a problem with his play last year. Coming off of that injury, it was rusty at first, but I saw him getting back into form. And I feel like he was getting back into form, and that's why he still wants to play. Because he knows he's better than the full year he gave. Yeah, man, that's a loaded team, Dan. Like, when you look at it top to bottom, we can't complain too much about any weaknesses. And they still got their draft picks, which they can execute some additional top players. Yeah, man, I would take Aaron Rodgers and Michael Penix the situation with JJ if necessary.
Yeah, real quick, Dan, one thing I'll say too is that when it comes to the quarterback position, I don't care how good the rest of your roster is, you can't be serviceable. You can be serviceable at wide receiver. You can be serviceable at running back. You can be serviceable at tight end, edge rusher. The one position you can't be serviceable is at quarterback, and this is one thing that will get them over the hump. Is Aaron Rodgers what he used to be? No. Is he in a bad mental place? Yes, but I still think in a good situation, surrounded by positive people, surrounded by people that can actually make him look better than maybe he realistically even is at this point in his career, I think that's what can get the Vikings over the hump. Because J.J. McCarthy, could he be great? Maybe. He could also be Sam Darnold. Yeah, I didn't like the pick. Me personally, I didn't think J.J. McCarthy was a first-round pick. Coming out of Michigan, he was a game manager. He was led by the running game. He was led by the defense. You're in a position where you don't know what you're getting from him, and you're in a win-now mode. With Aaron Rodgers, that's potential Super Bowl.
And to add to what Kobe said real quick, you don't know what you're going to get from JJ coming fresh off of an injury. Let's not forget that. Fresh off of an injury, hadn't played. I mean, get that kid another waiting period to rev up in practice. So, the right move for them is Aaron Rodgers, and I don't think he'll be expensive.
Yeah, because really going into it, like he would be about a year and a half from playing regulation football.
Yeah.
A year and a half removed from playing regulation football. So one would assume that there's going to be some growing pains here and there. But even if he is a game manager, like wasn't Sam Darnold the game manager last year? Like wasn't Sam Darnold
look what they did.
You can't have that. Yeah. And Aaron Rodgers in that big game wasn't gonna.
He has the ability to take a step.
Yeah, he not finna. Like you saw how Sam was worried in those two games. So that's not happening with Aaron Rodgers. So that would be an excellent move for the Vikings.
Yeah. Damn, man. Damn, brother. Oh, my God. All right, man. Who knows where the hell Aaron Rodgers is going to end up? I would assume we will have the answer here by the end of the afternoon, perhaps even early tomorrow morning. But real quick, we have about 10 minutes left on the show. It's no question, and we did unpack a lot of this on the AFC East Roundtable last evening, but I did kind of want to hear everybody's thoughts on grades, man. Let's talk about some grades, baby. What are we giving all of our AFC East teams as far as free agency grades? I'm starting off with the New England Patriots. Clear as day that they wanted to address their defense. They have defensive playmakers that will be impact players immediately. I still want them to go out and see if they can grab a vet wide receiver. Then I would honestly give them an A+ if they can bring in the white wide receiver, because I think that is correct. Colby, how would you grade the New England Patriots free agency period thus far?
Yeah, I would give the Patriots an A-. I think they've had one, if not the best free agency period. The reason that it's not an A+ is because there are still some major holes gapping right now, right? They didn't go out and they didn't get every single player they wanted, which I'm not going to necessarily knock them for that, because no team goes out and gets every single player they want. They don't go, hey, this is plan A, and they don't have to even pivot to plan B because everything went according to plan. That never happens. But the Patriots still need a left tackle. The Patriots still need a left guard. The Patriots still need a wide receiver. Now, they were never going to address each and every single need that they had in one offseason. This is the worst roster in the NFL heading into 2025. This was going to take multiple years to really address every single one of their needs, but these are still glaring needs that they have not addressed. Right? You need at least a wide receiver 2. The Patriots don't have a wide receiver 1 or a wide receiver 2. Like I mentioned, you still need starters, let alone depth on the offensive line. But I think the Patriots made a lot of big moves. They made major game-changing moves. You signed Milton Williams to a 4-year deal. You signed Carlton Davis, a cornerback 1, to be your cornerback 2 opposite of Gonzo. Patriots finally have a guy with some length that is not named Christian Gonzalez. That's going to be one of the best cornerback pairs in the NFL. He's a 3-year deal. You bring in Harold Landry to help address your run-stopping issues. You get Morgan Moses, so at least you solve one of your tackle problems. The Patriots, I think, solved a lot of their glaring issues. But again, I think they also overpaid for a lot of these players too. Understandably why, but nonetheless, you did still overpay. So for me, easily an A-.
Easily an A-. TD grade on the New England Patriots free agency class thus far.
I give them an A+. I feel like not getting everything you want is irrelevant. It's about making an impact on the team and changing them from being one of the worst in the league to now being competitive. I feel like they've already accomplished that in free agency. Went from being one of the worst teams to being competitive. And in the draft, they need to look towards trying to fine-tune some areas to be a contender. And I'm not giving them that status yet. Even after the draft, I don't know if we can give them that status, but they are a relevant team again. They had to overpay in some positions, but who cares? You overpay, you go win games so that you don't have to continue to overpay as years go on. So that's what it's about. I feel like they are taking the right approach, and they've done better than anyone could have expected. Imagine just having a good free. I mean, y'all had an excellent free agency so far, but imagine just having a good one. Yeah, you got better, but it ain't nothing that moves the needle. No, you've moved the needle. So again, does it make you a Super Bowl contender? Heck no. But I'm not going to discount an A+ in my book because you're not supposed to do everything in one off season. So they get an A because they've addressed some positions of need. Their defense is already one of the top defenses, I believe, on paper. Of course, they got to go show it. But this is Vrabel. It's already shown, in my opinion. And the offense, now they need to go make that work. So I feel like it's just a huge success for the Patriots.
Huge success for the Patriots. Now, is making a transition over to the Buffalo Bills. I would have to give a B+. I saw a couple of people in the live chat already say this. Still a glaring need at the corner position. I still think we desperately need a CB2. I am holding on to hope that the Buffalo Bills could still potentially find a way to bring Asante Samuel Jr. over here. However, where the Buffalo Bills currently stand with existing cap room, we're at about $7 million, and most NFL teams need to have about $5 million in order to pay for the draft class that they bring in. Now, while there are restructures that still could happen, I think all signs are pointing to that we are done, and we are shifting exclusively over to the draft to fill that CB2 role, or I'd say a less than inspiring or not a big name corner to go there. But as far as addressing the defensive line, I think that you go out there and you get an Ogunjobi, who is a very good defensive tackle. I think that he has shown a lot of signs of being elite, at least in one particular season. I think he's a great rotational piece at the very least. And then Joey Bosa, obviously the injury risk is there, but if healthy, you know he's going to be putting out production from a rotational standpoint. Have a Michael Hoyt as well, who is a special teams contributor. He has shown flashes. He's only 27 years old. And then some of our other secondary pieces, like bringing in that safety from the Washington Commanders and obviously Joshua Palmer. I like it because I feel like we addressed all of the things that I would consider to be a Buffalo Bills weakness back in 2024, but there was still a little bit left to be desired on my end. And would you gentlemen like to add anything before we transition over to the Miami Dolphins?
Yeah, real quick, I'll give the Buffalo Bills an A. Listen, it wasn't much they needed to do, but for several reasons. One reason, you go and get a nice receiver to replace Amari Cooper. So no love lost there. And then you go out and you get a pass rusher in Bosa to replace Vaughn. Mission accomplished, but here's why instead of a B+, I gave you all an A. Josh Allen's restructure is a huge win for the Buffalo Bills. And I know people like to look at $5 million like it's nothing, but he said it himself in an interview. I could have been the highest paid. The reason why I didn't try to eclipse Dak Prescott's $60 million, because what is another $5 million to me? That $5 million can help my team, and this is why I try to tell people this money matters, man. And for Josh Allen to do that for the team, Dan said they have $7 million. You could have had 2 right now if Josh Allen didn't do what he did. And you know how much you need going with the once the deadline comes, about 4.6 or something like that $1 million. So that was a huge move by Josh Allen. That's a stand-up guy. He said, well, what can another $5 million do in my life? I've already got everything I need. I can help my team this way. And that's going to allow them to have a little bit more flexibility on that 1 or 2 guys down the road and in the future. So big ups to Josh Allen for doing that. And that helps the Buffalo Bills. So winning mentality over there and building relationships is going to get an A for me.
I'm going to give this one a B. I debated on a B-, but then I actually looked at the moves. I like some of the moves that you got. I feel like this was mainly getting the core players for your organization, making sure that they're happy and signed to long-term deals. Giving Josh Allen that deal makes him happy. It wasn't necessarily needed, but like TD alluded to, it actually helps you when you look at it. Khalil Shakir, extending him, I thought was a no-brainer. You get him locked up. Really like that move for you. Terrell Bernard gets a 4-year extension. Liked that also. When it comes to Michael Hawk, I mean, he's just he's a depth guy, right? I think he's more, if I remember correctly, more of like a run-stopping guy. Patriots were also in on him, actually, but he's a rotational guy. Doesn't really move the needle for me too much. Josh Palmer, I mean, come on. Come on. I mean, this is supposed to move the needle for me at wide receiver. It just doesn't. I like bringing back Ty Johnson. I think that's a really good move for you guys. I think that's going to be an underrated move. And Joey Bosa, we'll see what he has left in the tank. I think you overpaid a little bit, but I think that's okay. I think he's going to serve in that same Von Miller role, but I do think that he's going to give you more than Von Miller gave you. But again, I don't think you made any big signing that to me necessarily move the needle. Maybe they go towards the draft. This is a very good defensive draft. You're going to get guys, young guys on rookie deals. I'm sure that's kind of their mindset. Hey, we need the majority of our help at cornerback. We need the majority of our help on the defensive line. This is a very, very good defensive line class. Let's not address this in free agency. Let's address it in the draft. So I'm not going to get on the Bills too much. I'm not going to say free agency moved the needle too much for me compared to what my concerns were for them coming out of 2024. What the Buffalo Bills' success is going to be in 2025 is going to be solely based off of what they do in the draft.
I love that.
Real quick, Dan.
Go ahead.
Just to add on to the Bills, when it comes to moving the needle, when you make the AFC Championship game, you got to realize there ain't much of a needle that needs to be moved.
No, not at all.
So when you go in the draft and you get your first and second round pick, that's supposed to be the needle mover. That's supposed to be the thing that says we got 2 new players cheap, and if they can contribute right away, they might be the difference to get us over the hump. So we'll see.
I would have liked Darius Slayton, though. Like Darius Slayton on the Bills, I think would have been a really good move. Like getting more of a proven wide receiver. That depth at receiver is just minuscule. That's still one of the worst wide receiver cores in the NFL. And just building up some depth there on that defense, I think is very, very pivotal because you're going to face really high-powered offenses, you know, this upcoming season. And you don't want to have to ask Josh Allen to play superhero football every single week. You don't want to have to rely on him to put on that cape every single week. And that's what they did every single week this past season. Build that depth up behind him with the wide receiver core and more specifically the defense to create more of that margin if they do make mistakes.
I love it. And then last but not least, the Dolphins. The Dolphins free agency period. And to be completely honest with you, TD, and the only recognizable name I saw in your list of acquisitions was Zach Wilson. For me, I think that I feel like you really didn't have much of a choice. And as you said, I know that you guys were bargain shopping for the most part. C-, I'd say. But I'm very interested to see what you guys do during the draft. I think you guys could remain at least, I don't know, slightly better than last year. And that's me being wildly optimistic. Thoughts, TD?
I think we get a B-. I think the Dolphins, where I grade us right now, is actually between a B and a B-, but I'm going to go ahead and lean towards a B. If we re-sign Calais Campbell, we'll go to the B+. But right now, I like the Nick Westbrook move at the wide receiver position. I feel like that was huge. If a guy goes down, but he's also a solidified third or number 3 or number 4 receiver. But above all, we get a red zone threat, somebody you can rely on who proved it last year. 8 touchdowns, had one of the longest plays in the league, 98-yard touchdown. Also, I love the James Daniels move at guard, one of the better guards in the league, at a position where we have one of the worst guards in the league playing at right guard. Liam Eichenberg, bye-bye. James Daniels inserted. That was a massive move for the Miami Dolphins. Then you look at the combination of safeties in Ashton Davis and Ife Afuetu Melifonwe. Excuse me. I think both of them have high potential. I'm getting mixed, reports. Some people love them, like crazily giving raving reviews about them, and some people, they're not all that. So it's a wait and see for me. And last but not least, I think the Zach Wilson move. I'm gonna bank on Mike McDaniel on this. We know what Tua Tagovailoa was his first 2 years in Miami. Nothing to be excited about. But look at the turnaround that Mike McDaniel was able to make him a comparable quarterback, not an elite one, but one who can really help you win games and have an impact in doing it. So you never know. If Zach Wilson does have anything in him, it's going to be on Mike McDaniel to get it out of him, and we're going to bet on that with his athleticism and his cannon. So I'm going to go B- for the Dolphins.
B- for the Dolphins. You heard it here first, Colby. Yeah, he just said wow. So I think that there's a massive gap that's incoming. Go ahead.
Dan, I tend to agree with you. I also had a C- grade for the Miami Dolphins. Ironically, you guys had a rough season, right? And I don't feel like you moved the needle. One of my biggest concerns for Miami, yes, but again, you can maneuver the cap space a little, and you guys did. And one of my biggest concerns for the Dolphins heading into 2024 is that you got rid of a lot of good players and you tried to replace them with old veterans that weren't good anymore, and it bit you in the butt. Looking at this, you guys didn't really make a whole lot of moves. I will say the James Daniel move I do like for you guys. I do think that there is some cause of concern for him. Like, I don't think he's necessarily this plug-and-play guy who you don't have to worry about. He's had some good moments, but he's had some inconsistent moments. I'll be very curious to see how he performs with you guys on a much larger level with more opportunities. Can he still be as consistent in a full-time starting role on a regular basis? That's going to be my biggest question for him, but I do like that addition. The Melifonwu pick, I actually like that for you guys. Like, I saw that, and that might be my favorite signing for you guys. I've been a big fan of him. His cousin was a safety. He was on the Patriots.
Super Bowl.
Was a big fan of Melifonwu. Now, he's not going to be a cornerback 1, but he can even be like a cornerback 2-ish, more realistically a cornerback 3, which is what you guys are looking for. I actually really like that. Play him all over the defensive formation. He can play in the slot. He can play outside. He can play a little bit of safety if he need be. I think that's going to be a very underrated signing for you guys. And then the last one, Nick Westbrook. I like that move for you guys too. He's coming into a situation with the Miami Dolphins where he doesn't need to be a number 1. He doesn't need to be a number 2. He's coming into a perfect situation where he slots in as a number 3. That's exactly where he should be. He's going to give you some height, which I think you guys desperately need. He's going to give you a big body when you guys reach the red zone for those, contested catch, 50-50 balls for Tua to essentially just loft up. I think that's what you needed. So I think your wide receiver core is solidified, but really outside of those moves, you didn't really do anything. Ashton Davis, you need help at safety. This is more of a special teamer. Doesn't really move the needle. I think you guys should have made some bigger moves if you're really going to make a run here, and you guys just didn't. So for me, got to be a C-.
C-. You heard it here first. Now, folks, listen, we have another show that is going live here in just a couple of hours, and that just so happens to be Draftaholics. Colby is the host over there, along with 3 other representatives. And let me tell you what, Colby, tell us what you got cooking up on Draftaholics later today.
Yeah, we decided we're going to switch up the tempo a little bit. We originally started to break down some of the top prospects in the draft at quarterback, running back, tight end. So if you want to see our original thoughts before the combine, check that out. But we've also done about 3 mock drafts. We've done 2 without trades. We've done 1 with a trade. So today we're going to be doing a complete second round mock draft, switching up the tempo a little bit. You guys always see first round mock drafts. I'm sure you want to learn about some of the other prospects that could be game changers for your organization. So that's what we're going to be doing later today at 5:30 p.m. Eastern on this YouTube channel for Draftaholics.
So make sure that if you are just discovering us on this edition of 4th and Forever, we ask you to make sure that you turn on bell notifications when you subscribe so you never miss any of the content we put out here. Guys, once again, giant shout out to a proud sponsor of Underdog Fantasy, the #1 fantasy app on the face of the planet. We are doing a jersey giveaway. As long as you are a subscriber, you leave a comment beneath this video letting us know what jersey you would be looking for, and also sign up for Underdog using our code RTS. Link is pinned at the top of this chat. You could also receive up to $1,000 in bonus credit and a free pick upon signing up. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in to 4th and Forever, and we will see you tomorrow.